Remember when Freddy Krueger joined the Ice Capades? Wow, we really had it all, didn't we? Let's go back.
Tamagotchi,
of Y2K.
Happy Halloween, everyone! I've got another group of nostalgic Halloween videos for you that promise to haunt your nightmares. Without further ado, let the channel surfing begin. Mwahaha!
And now, the Paul Lynde Halloween Special!
This is the Paul Lynde Halloween Special, and it's like a 1970s disco fever dream of a program. For those of you who don't know, Paul Lynde is arguably most famous as being the comedian in the center square on Hollywood Squares. He does a lot of sexual innuendos and was one of the few entertainers who were allowed to be openly gay back then. Well, when I say openly gay, I mean he never actually said it, but everyone knew. It wasn't a secret based on his personality. I only mention this just to put a bit of context into the time that this aired. On October 29, 1976, Paul hosted his own Halloween special on ABC in a star-studded affair that Christopher Mother of the Boston Globe called the most fabulous train wreck of a holiday special ever filmed.
Hi, I'm Paul Lynde. Well, somebody had to be.
The special opens with Paul in his home dressed as Santa Claus and singing "We Wish You a Merry Christmas" before his housekeeper, Margaret Hamilton, comes in. Margaret, who you may know as the Wicked Witch of the West, is seemingly playing a fictional version of herself who I guess fell on hard times and is now working as Paul Lynde's housekeeper. The bit continues with Paul celebrating Easter and Valentine's Day before conceding that it is indeed Halloween.
It's full of witches and spooks and strange creatures of the night.
Oh, sounds like Hollywood Squares.
We get a quick intro before Paul appears inside the nose of a jack-o'-lantern and comes out to do his opening monologue. He talks about how much he loves Halloween and how fat he was as a child. This turns into a song and dance number about how much he loves kids before changing it up halfway through and singing about how much he actually hates kids. Oh yeah, and Donnie and Marie show up for some reason and put Paul in a garbage can before blowing him up. After the first commercial starts the overarching theme of the special when Margaret drives Paul to her sister's home, a spooky castle. I'm getting George Hamilton flashbacks from last year. Her sister is revealed to be Witchy Poo from HR Pufnstuf, another television program that was most likely the direct product of heavy drug use. They cut back and Margaret is now dressed in her iconic Wicked Witch of the West costume. This was one of the only good parts of the special. I'll get to the other one soon.
She asked for it. And her little dog, too.
Paul then gets the opportunity to meet this year's Miss Halloween. Morphing in with some incredible 1970s transitions is Betty White in a white dress.
She has a striking resemblance to Betty White.
She ends up leaving because she's upset that she was promised a date with a famous Paul and she mistakenly thought it would be Paul Newman. The witches decide to grant Paul 3 wishes, and the first thing he wishes for is an interesting one to say the least. He wishes that he could be a rhinestone trucker with an 18-wheeler. And no, I'm not gonna make a joke about truck stop washrooms. Look at this outfit. Wow. It looks like something that was in the Village People's closet, where the Village People also reside. Now these 3 wishes are all just a way to go into random sketches written for the special. The strangest part is they're not even Halloween themed. For example, this is a sketch about 2 competing truck drivers, one being Paul and the other being Tim Conway, fighting over a woman's hand in marriage at the local diner. The waitress is played by Roz Kelly. Pinky Tuscadero to you Happy Day fans out there. When they arrive at the diner, this is where I was fascinated by what I was watching. The sketch turns into a dance number where Pinky and Paul get married. I can only assume that Tommy Wiseau produced this special. And before you go to the comments and say he would have been too young for that, don't act like Tommy is actually human. We don't really know how his species age.
Chip, 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 chip.
I should also mention that Billy Barty's there, mostly just for Paul to shout short jokes at him before he walks off screen. Next, the 2 witches summon Kiss. Smoke fills the room as the band is lowered down to the stage in an elevator. It kinda reminded me of Tim Curry's entrance in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, I've never been a big Kiss fan, or a Kiss fan at all really, but this was definitely the best part of the special. They opened with Detroit Rock City, later on played King of the Nighttime World, and finally Beth. which is a song I can't hear anymore without thinking of Paul Rudd belting it out at the end of Role Models. After the next commercial break, we see Paul playing Monopoly with the two witches when he accidentally says he wishes he was in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
Could you at least make me a chic, rich, a great lover?
I don't know what to say about this sketch. Again, this isn't on theme and features Paul kissing Florence Henderson not once, not twice, but 3 times as they make the strangest sounds. Oh, and Tim Conway shows up as his rival. Poor Tim Conway, by the way, having to be part of these sketches after being part of one of the most iconic sketch comedy teams on the Carol Burnett Show. You're probably wondering what Paul's final wish is at this point. Well, he pulls an Aladdin and offers his final wish to the two witches. They wish to visit a Hollywood disco party. Now, I know I wasn't around then, but this seems to be an accurate depiction of a Hollywood party in the 1970s. The only things missing are just cocaine and John Travolta harassing a busboy. Florence Henderson appears again, this time to sing Frank Sinatra's That Old Black Magic before the show closes out in another disco dance number. I don't think I can stress enough how fascinating this was to watch. When the truck driver sketch at the beginning turned into a dance number, it felt like I was on the greatest trip I'd ever been on. That's how every Saturday Night Live sketch should end, by the way. I enjoyed it, maybe not the way it was intended to be enjoyed, but it is a television gem I feel like I should add to my Halloween viewing rotation every year. What a strange little 70s time capsule. Paul does a little goodbye speech at the end that gave me a newfound respect for the man who I knew very little about going into this. He seemed so sincere when he thanked everyone for letting him be part of their lives for an hour. He just seems like a guy who loved to entertain people, and it's unfortunate how he was treated by Hollywood.
Thank you for making me feel wanted. And thank you for inviting us into your homes tonight.
Yeah, boy! In full effect! Yo, the Little Shop Posse!
Too late the peanut vendor will be gone, and then I am sure you will grieve sore.
There's always a restless one.
Welcome to TNT's Halloween on Ice from Boston, Massachusetts. It features big-name figure skaters like Nancy Kerrigan and others. I joke, but I do have a soft spot for this type of ice skating performance. Growing up, my grandparents' yearly Christmas gift to me was to see Disney on Ice. It became a yearly holiday tradition for us, and I loved it. I remember eating my blue raspberry snow cone from inside my Genie cup, so I was excited to watch this as I've never even knew it existed. It looks as though it ran yearly from 1995 to 1998, but this one we're gonna watch the 1996 version. This was only 2 years after the Nancy Kerrigan-Tonya Harding incident. I feel like everyone must know this story by now. Do younger people not know how cutthroat figure skating was in the 1990s? Back in 1994, Tonya Harding along with her husband orchestrated a plan in which her bodyguard would club Nancy's leg before the competition, and they went through with it.
Why?
Now that I got that out of the way, let's get back to 1996 for some more family-friendly skating. The first thing about this program that made me laugh were the sponsors. Brought to you by Pearl Vision, Oral-B, and Tylenol. Tell me this program was targeted at an older audience without telling me it was for an older audience. The only sponsor missing is arthritis relief. The opening act is Nancy Kerrigan in bed while being tormented by demons from under her bed. This is all to John Carpenter's Halloween theme song, and the announcer really gets into it.
Get out of there, Nancy Kerrigan, as she's attacked by the skeletons.
You know, it may be a bit corny, but I have respect for people who fully commit to something. Get this announcer an Emmy. The backstage reporter is Peter Carruthers, and he has a tiny human partner who asks all the tough questions and gives out the best advice. Here he is giving Nancy, who recently announced she was pregnant, some parenting advice.
I think they should stay up as late as they want.
As late as they want.
And the number one piece of advice: unlimited cookies.
Back on the ice, we got the Zombie Blues Brothers, which was my favorite act of the night because I'm a huge Blues Brothers fan. They skate to flip, flop, and fly. It's all pretty impressive. It's one of those sports that I'm not really into, but you still get amazed when you see what they're able to do. As a Canadian, I've been on many skating rinks in my life, so I know how difficult it is. I can't imagine doing what they do. Then there's skating from Gomez and Morticia from the Addams Family, Beetlejuice having some fun, and the Blob, which is two people connected that really limits what they can and can't do. I don't think they'll be doing that one again next year. Then a man comes out in all black with a black mask on. The announcer gives us a hint as to who it might be.
I'm not going to tell you who this is, but I'll give you a couple of hints. Olympic silver medalist, and he graduated from Harvard.
Wow, give us a harder clue. If there's anything I know, it's my silver medal figure skaters. This is obviously Paul Wiley.
No mystery here, Paul Wiley.
See, I told ya. That's the beauty of editing your own videos. I can make myself look smarter than I actually am. Other notable acts are Todd Eldredge skating to the Ghostbusters theme song, a guy who I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name dressed like Alice Cooper and skating to Welcome to My Nightmare. Okay, I'll try this for the figure skating fans that are watching this video. This is for all two of you. Joseph Soboschek? How'd I do? The night comes to a close with Nancy Kerrigan once again skating around with Fred Flintstone, Barney Rubble, Scooby-Doo, Frankenstein, Catwoman, and a Scarecrow. Oh, and Todd Eldredge pops back up again as Dracula. This was fun to watch. I think I'm 2 for 2 so far. Nothing yet has felt like a chore to watch. Let's keep this spooky party rolling.
I don't like things coming from under my bed.
A real nightmare. Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance.
Just roll out Pillsbury sugar cookies, cut, bake and decorate, then feed them to your goblins.
In California, toy store employees encounter a spirit determined to reach out to the living because he refuses to believe that he's dead.
We're gonna check out a haunted Toys R Us. This clip comes from the show Haunted Lives True Ghost Stories, which aired May 15th, 1991, which we all know is the spookiest time of the year. Haunted Lives was an anthology show in the same vein as Unsolved Mysteries, but this covered ghost stories and only aired 3 specials. For this, I'm not going to watch the entire episode because I have other Halloween videos to watch, so instead I'm going to focus on one particular story about a haunted Toys R Us. I hear the ghost of Toys R Us and Blockbuster now haunt the many Spirit Halloween locations around America. By the way, this particular episode was directed by Tobe Hooper, iconic director of stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Poltergeist, and Salem's Lot. Alright, let's go to Sunnyvale, California, where this story takes place.
But recently, psychic Sylvia Brown investigated a series of hauntings.
Whoa, hold up. I'm already regretting choosing this clip. I'm sure many of you are already aware of this, and I'm gonna try and use nice words here. This witch. Hey, and that's on theme. If you're not familiar, let me break it down for you. Sylvia Brown is a swindler, a fraud, a con woman, and has all the integrity of a carny running the ring toss. We need to take a quick sidebar in this episode for me to talk a bit about Sylvia Brown. I would say she's probably most famous for appearing on the talk show Maury. You know, the You're Not the Father show.
You are not the father.
She would come out, sit down, and do psychic cold reading for the audience, many of whom were hoping to hear from their dead loved ones. In 2004, Amanda Berry's parents appeared on the show looking for answers about their missing daughter, and this is what Sylvia had to say.
Yeah, in heaven, on the other side.
Well, in 2013, Amanda Berry was found alive in captivity. 2 years earlier, she told the parents of 11-year-old Sean Hornbeck that not only was he dead, but here is who he supposedly was kidnapped by. I'm sure you can guess how this one ended.
The guy was dark-skinned, although he wasn't black, he was more Hispanic. Real long, dark hair. Strange enough, Hispanic, but he had dreadlocks.
He was found alive in 2007, and his captor was Michael J. Devlin. Oops. That description she gave felt like the description Roy gives of the fake assailant who stole his fake wheelchair on the IT crowd. She was also known to offer her services to police in investigating missing person cases.
For money?
To sum up Sylvia Brown and get back to this video, I'll leave you with this clip.
The reason why you didn't find him is because he's in water. And somebody...
Well, it was September 11th. There was no... He was a fireman.
Well, no. See, I keep seeing him in water.
Bitch. Anyway, let's get back to the totally haunted Toys R Us. The story starts by going back to California 1881. I'll sum it up for you. This guy here who speaks like Kenneth in 30 Rock.
But I love you.
She isn't interested and she's getting married in a week, so he begins angrily chopping wood and accidentally hits his leg. That property is where the Toys R Us is located today. Well, at least it was in the 90s. It seems like this haunting began in 1982. We see a woman doing inventory in the back room. By the way, this is all shot like an episode of the Goosebumps. complete with the eerie music in the background. She hears someone whispering the name Elizabeth, and then something pulls at her hair. She immediately rushes to the manager and tells her what happened.
May I please have the rest of the day off?
The manager is like, sorry, you're gonna have to stick around. Ghost molestation isn't an excuse for skipping work. When she opens the back room, things are spinning and floating around. Keep in mind, this is a supposed reenactment of what actually happened. We see other things happening around the store, like machines malfunctioning, water being turned on in the bathroom, and shoes being stacked in the middle of aisles. Which, if you're a fan of phasmophobia, you know is a good way to find out if you have a poltergeist on your hands or not. The employees go to the library to try and learn more about what happened on that land. And then they give good old Sylvia Brown a call to come help them.
This has all the signs of a real haunting.
What an odd choice. Everyone in this reenactment are actors, but then there's Sylvia Brown casually playing herself. Based on her personality and her career, you just know she pushed to play herself in this. She tells the employees that Yanni Janssen, oh yeah, that's the guy's name, he's stuck in a time warp. Yup, she just knows that. She delivers this information as if she's a plumber. Just like, yeah, so what we got here is a classic case of a ghost stuck in a time warp. I'm gonna need to order some parts, call a priest, but we should have this bad boy up and running by tomorrow. The plan to get rid of the ghost is to convince him that he's dead. That night, everyone gathers in the bike aisle to summon the dead farmhand from 1881. Jesus Christ, let's just take a moment to reflect on that sentence I just said. The employees of a Toys R Us are gathering together at night in the bike aisle to summon a dead farmhand from 1881. Who wrote this? David Lynch? Anyway, he appears in a purple light and they speak to him. He asks where Elizabeth is. They say she isn't here and he needs to go to the light to see her before he fades away. We then get to see the real-life photo taken on that fateful day, and I assume this is supposed to be Yanni? Even though it just looks like one of the employees leaning up against the shelf? Also, this is the 80s. Why is the camera so bad? Did they just use a potato to take this photo? Don't they have security camera footage? Nah, whatever. The manager thanks Sylvia for her help, but we get a spooky ending where it seems that someone has written Elizabeth out on the aisle floors. Interesting ending of the ghost writing something on the floor when at the beginning they said this about Yanni.
Yanni Janssen was a barely literate, emotionally disturbed farmhand. Barely literate.
Good to know you can continue your education in the afterlife.
So, you want to scare somebody.
This is a VHS tape from 1994 called How to Run a Haunted House. And don't worry, they really draw out the title at the beginning with some sweet 3D animation. It's basically two guys who love to decorate their houses at Halloween, giving tips on how to get the best scares. They're Dr. Dread and Professor Nightmares, not sure where they received their degrees from though. These two are dubbed Fright Masters, and it's filled with some wonderful nostalgia and makes you wonder who bought this VHS in the first place, because a lot of their tips just feel like general knowledge, but let's get into it. My favorite part is this little bit at the beginning.
Therefore, the manufacturers of this tape assume no liability for your actions.
They gotta cover their asses. We start with Dr. Dread, who's rocking a sweet mullet. I probably had my mullet around the same time, so I'm an expert on this subject. He starts talking like a mob boss. He's like, so you want to scare somebody, huh? We then go to Boston where we meet Professor Nightmare, who is also sort of rocking a mullet. It's more of a skullet. See what I did there? And they said I would never make it in comedy. I should also mention that there are a few ADR moments at the end of them speaking. I'm not sure why. It feels like they were possibly saying their names wrong and had to dub over it.
And you may learn a trick or two about my favorite subject, fear.
Now, back to Dr. Dread.
The first tip we get is the old coffin trick, learning how to disarm your victim by going against their expectations.
Okay.
Dr. Dread talks about this coffin scare for quite a while actually. Next is the chainsaw killer. He informs us that every haunted house needs a chainsaw killer, but reminds you to remove the chain from the saw first.
It never occurred to these people that there was no chain on the saw. Anyway.
Professor Nightmare then shares his tips for the old painting trick, having a bunch of pictures of faces, but the last one is a real person. Again, this seems pretty standard haunted house stuff. This feels like me releasing a VHS tape on how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Then we see another staple of the haunted house, a clown. This one in particular has a head pop out of the box, and Professor Nightmare explains how it works.
First of all, The creature is just a simple puppet. Any puppet will do.
Oh, that's how it works. If this were the 1800s, they would have been burned at the stake for all this witchcraft I'm witnessing.
Now, let's talk about what really scares people. 2 very simple words.
Tax agents.
Unpredictability and irregularity.
Oh, yeah, that too. I want to play this next clip without context.
Play with me? My mommy never lets me play with anybody anymore. She locked me up in this room, and I can't get out, and I'm not crazy.
Moving on. They discuss how there is no such thing as too much blood before moving on to the fake scarecrow trick. Then the video pivots into showing all the times Dr. Dredd has been on the news. So we learn Dr. Dredd is actually Richard Hampf, who loves to go above and beyond with his house every Halloween, and he likes to get his neighbors involved.
What's going to happen tonight?
Getting my head chopped off.
Is it something you've always wanted to have happen?
Yeah.
Jason, that was really scary stuff. What are you going to do now?
Have my dinner.
This kid is great. He's like the OG turtle kid.
I like turtles.
We find out by day Richard is a satellite technician, and one reporter goes hard on him.
Much of what he does is corny, but irresistible.
After the large chunk of news reports, we're left with a few more tips. Make the exit of your haunted house go past the entrance line to give people in line a little pre-scare. Don't use trademark characters like Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees. Have insurance, and get close but never touch your victims. And finally, publicity and advertising. They speak as though they're making money off this. Do people make money off their homes as haunted houses every year? It ends with a phone number if you want some professional haunted house consulting from Professor Nightmare and Dr. Dredd. And I'm not going to show you that number because one of you delinquents will call it. Yeah, you know who you are. I decided to look up what Richard Hampf is doing today, and it seems like he's made quite the career for himself in the scare business. Here he is at Transworld 2016, now seemingly working in the industry full-time. No more satellites for Richard. Good for him. Once again, I'm going to end this part with another out-of-context clip. Some words to live your life by.
A psycho killer that doesn't kill you has no credibility.
Really? If you're R.L. Stein, what is today's story?
Did you see it move? I did. When I turned around, it was moving slightly. That's what I was saying. God.
It wouldn't be a Holiday Channel surfing video without a little bit of animation. This is Scary Godmother Halloween Spectacular. It's based on the children's books of Jill Thompson and debuted at San Diego Comic-Con on July 18th, 2003, the spookiest time of the year. Reruns of this animated special could be seen on Cartoon Network throughout the 2000s. I absolutely love this style of animation because it's from such a particular time and a small time frame in animation history. I like to refer to it as screensaver animation. You know, it was like those old screensavers you would have playing throughout the day on your computer. The special opens with children trick-or-treating. Our main characters are Katie, dressed as a cat, Bert, a baseball player driving in his SUV, and Daryl, who's a piece of trash.
I'm a piece of candy.
Right on, my bad, Daryl. Their friend Jimmy arrives dressed as a devil and his adorable little cousin Hannah, who's dressed as a princess. I'm gonna get this out of the way early on, but Jimmy's a little He doesn't want his little cousin tagging along with them for Halloween, so he has a plan to scare her so bad she'll run home, and apparently the rest of the gang are super chill with this idea. They bring Hannah to this spooky house and lock her in there. This is where the fun begins. Because poof, Hannah's scary godmother appears to protect her when she's scared. And honestly, deep down, if just between you and me, scary godmother can get it. Moving on. She tells Hannah she shouldn't be afraid of monsters because some of her best friends are monsters and whisks her back to her home on a broomstick just in time for her Halloween party. Hannah first meets Scully, the scary godmother's broommate. Get it? Broommate? I love this special, it gets me. Scully lives in the closet because he's a skeleton in the closet. Get it? That's comedy gold right there. He has a bit of a Paul Lynde vibe to him.
Sorry to be so late, but I just had to get these old bones bleached for the party.
The first party guest to show up is Harry the werewolf, and he's all about food and talking. He just yaps and yaps until the scary godmother gives him some peanut butter, which is the same tactic I use with my dog. Next are a family of vampires, the king and queen of the night, Max, Ruby, and their son Orson. Hannah and Orson hit it off because he has never seen a human before and she's never seen a vampire before, so they have a lot of questions for each other. The last to arrive to the party is a round monster with many eyes that scares Hannah. He chases her, trying to explain he's a good guy, but that doesn't help. Once things are settled, everyone parties it up. Harry eats all the food, so they order pizza. Good to know pizza is universally loved, even by creatures of the night. Nearing the end of the special, Hannah says she needs to be going soon and apologizes to the monster for misjudging him. Before she leaves, the creatures find out what Jimmy and his friends did to poor Hannah here, so they hatch a plan to scare them. Back at the spooky house, the kids run into and get scared by all the creatures, and Hannah gets to play hero, guiding them all out with her flashlight. Harry has an incredible death.
No, all right. I die. I flail. Then I die.
They tell Hannah she can come and visit again anytime. Once again, this was fun to watch. It seems like a nice hidden gem for kids to watch every year at Halloween. If you're watching this and have kids, throw it on this year. They'll love it, and the entire special is on YouTube. This is the Halloween that almost wasn't. A Halloween special that aired on ABC on October 28th, 1979. The spookiest time of the year. Oh wait, that joke doesn't really work here. Many people watching this may remember it since it ran for 13 years straight on the Disney Channel. It stars Judd Hirsch as Dracula, and it's interesting to say the least. I just kept thinking the writing might be bad because of when it came out, but then I'm reminded that Apocalypse Now came out that same year, so... Let's take a closer look at my initial thoughts after watching. The special opens with Dracula rising from his coffin when he and Igor see a special report on the news.
Count Dracula has ordered the world's leading monsters to come to his castle immediately.
He seems to be caught off guard by this, not sure why he's surprised having invited them over himself because he immediately leaves so he can make a grand entrance. It cuts to a family carving pumpkins and putting makeup on for trick-or-treating despite it not being Halloween until tomorrow night. They discuss the origins of Halloween with All Hallows Day and why they dress up and light pumpkins. The first monster to arrive at Dracula's castle is the Wolfman, just like the werewolf was the first to arrive at the party in Scary Godmother Special. Is this a new trope for werewolves? They're early to parties? Frankenstein's monster arrives next and does a little dance. A zombie shows up, but don't worry about him, he'll never be brought up again. Same with the mummy that arrives next, and finally the witch shows up. Dracula flies in as a bat to make his grand entrance.
Oh boy! Oh, monster.
He explains he called them all there because they're no longer scary and people are laughing at them. He commands them to be their old horrible selves. The witch says she quits, and apparently if she doesn't fly across the moon then Halloween will be no more. Why? Don't worry about that, you asked too many questions. She has a list of demands that Dracula needs to adhere to, including taking her to a disco party. Who would have thought this would have been the perfect video to wrap up on? It features all the elements of what we've watched so far. I would like to take credit for that, but it just sort of happened that way. So, the witch is essentially on strike, which prompts the other monsters to chase her. She flies away on her broomstick and Dracula follows, but he has to get back before sunrise. This part is weird because he gets upset that Igor kept the door shut to his tomb.
Igor, you did it again! How many times do I have to tell you? Keep my tomb door open at night!
You might start to wonder, what is Dracula gonna do? He's locked out of his tomb and the sun is coming up. He's doomed. Oh, never mind, he just turns around and opens the door and heads to bed. The next night is Halloween night and the world is waiting for the witch to fly across the moon. Dracula's plan is to hypnotize her. He and the monsters go to the witch's castle now because I guess all monsters get their own castles in this world. His plan fails though because the three musketeers come out of a painting to protect the witch. This is the point while I was watching I just wrote, what the f is happening? Now Igor is played up as the idiot, but out of the group he's the idea guy. I won't get into those ideas, but I'm sure you know they all failed. It isn't until there's a knock at the witch's bedroom door. It's the two children we saw earlier, who just teleported to the witch's castle apparently. One in a scarecrow costume and the other dressed as a witch. The little girl says the witch is her favorite and begs her to come out and save Halloween for all the children. She agrees to the classic guilt trip and flies across the moon. Turns out the villain all along was gender equality. And freeze frame on the kid's face, and cut. Perfect, we got it, let's wrap it up. The special ends with a disco party, the witch and Dracula dressed up in a Saturday Night Fever parody. This was wild and didn't make a whole lot of sense. It felt like they were trying to do the Christmas plot of Santa isn't going to deliver presents this year, so Christmas is cancelled, but they did it with a witch? Why can't kids still go trick-or-treating? And remember, kids, to leave out milk and cookies on your front step this year for the flying witch. Or pizza. We learned everyone likes pizza. There you have it, another Halloween channel serving video in the books. I hope you had a bit of a spook. Based on the videos we watched, probably not. I kept mentioning this throughout, but I did have a good time watching these this year. Even that Halloween that almost wasn't, or whatever it's called, was so weirdly constructed I couldn't stop watching. It was like watching an episode of Lost. I just kept getting more questions but no answers. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you have any memories of any of the clips I covered. I would love to hear first-hand experiences. And remember, every like this video receives goes to stopping the overuse of Saturday Night Fever parodies. Happy Halloween, everyone.
A psycho killer that doesn't kill you has no credibility.